Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, tonight I'd like to present BZ's small Christmas special, in which I'd like to pay tribute to those first responders working tonight and throughout the Christmas holidays in order to provide us the good fortune of celebrating and sleeping in peace. One such example was an article I wrote in 2007, directly following the murder of Sacramento Sheriff's Department Detective Vu Nguyen, the department where I spent the last 35 years of my career. And then I'd like to read the classic "Twas the Night Before Christmas." This was written by myself, this article, in December, or I should say on December 20th of 2007. I just came in from lowering our flag to half staff. Outside it is dark, it's cold, a light mist, mirroring the faces of my fellow officers at Christmas. A newlywed wife lost her husband Wednesday of this week as he bled out on the street, having been shot in the neck at Christmas. My department has had 4 deputies killed in 2 years. Deputies Joe Kievernagel and Kevin Blount died on July 13th of 2005 in a helicopter crash near Lake Natoma. Pilot Kievernagel, having lost power, managed to maneuver the helo away from the heavily populated recreational area just beneath him at the time, which took him into the side of a hill in full view of hundreds of summer swimmers and boaters. On October 27th of 2006, Deputy Jeff Mitchell was disarmed and shot to death by a suspect following a traffic stop. The suspect is still at large and unknown. Following his killing, my department began furiously installing in-dash camcorders in vehicles. Deputy Mitchell's car was not so equipped that day. And this week, just yesterday, my department lost an undercover narcotics detective at 37 years old. Vu Nguyen gave up his life for the job he loved. His wife weeps. His family grieves. My department and the community feel the loss at Christmas. Engine 56 and Medic 12 of the Sacramento Fire Department wanted to be anywhere but where they were that day. Being the first to respond and hearing that a deputy sheriff had been shot, they threw protocol away. They refused to stage and wait for a suspect to be declared in custody. They decided on their own. They were going into the hot area, completely unknown area, and they were going to apply state-of-the-art life-saving techniques to that deputy, a man they didn't know at all. They didn't know his ethnicity, his assignment, his religion, his height, his weight. It didn't matter. He was an American and a law enforcement officer and a fellow emergency responder. That is literally all they knew. And that they, like he, had valued and beloved wives and husbands and children at home. And still they went because, frankly, they didn't care. That was their job. That was what they signed up for at Christmas. What they found was a deputy on top of a chicken coop, shot directly through the front of the neck. The second they placed their leads on him, he was in VFib. And they knew immediately about that 37-year-old deputy right there, the 37-year-old deputy Vu Nguyen, who just gotten married in April of this year, a brand new wife who expected her husband back that day at the end of his shift at Christmas. 3 firefighters climbed into the back of the box rig, and they headed for the trauma center, performing heroic life-saving measures, giving their best, knowing the truth, awash in his blood. Vu Nguyen officially died at the hospital in surgery. And Mrs. Nguyen had to be found to be notified of the death of her husband by violent gunfire at Christmas. The area became flooded with cops. Sacramento Sheriff's Department, Sacramento Police Department, CHP, many other local agencies, 100 to 150 officers, 3 helos, 2 SWAT teams, multiple K-9 units. Schools were locked down. Anyone callous enough or violent enough or indifferent enough as this killer was, was certainly capable of finding a child and taking a hostage or worse. Finally, many hours later, the perimeter was taken down. No suspect was in custody, but no one stopped. No one gave up. No one went home. Leads were developed, evidence documented and collected, photographs taken. The investigation began. There was a job to do, and no one complained or stopped for food or drink. There was only one thought in mind: find the suspect, take him into custody now. But make no mistake, there were many phone calls made on cells to loved ones. "That wasn't me, honey," was what the bulk of the calls said. Perhaps a little guiltily, but truthfully, because their wives and husbands deserved to know now. People didn't stop. No one went home. No one slept. More leads were developed. And now today there is a suspect in custody. It's a 16-year-old suspect, a known Asian gangbanger, 5 feet 4 inches tall, 130 pounds dripping wet, who made his bones and will be spoken of with reverence in his own cloistered and demented groups. He made his bones, acquired his respect that will follow him in the gangs, in the jails, in the prisons, wherever he goes until he dies. In the meantime, we'll continue with the investigation, collect more evidence, document, process, and do what we are tasked with and what we have been sworn to do, our jobs. So we'll don our hats, wear our gloves, a black band over our badges, attend the funeral, watch the motors in the procession. One of our own has fallen. And then we'll go back to our jobs every day and love our wives, our husbands, hold our kids, shed tears, probably clutch and hug our dear ones even harder and closer, because life is so precious, not just at Christmas, but all the time. I'd like to finish tonight with a reading of the classic Clement C. Moore poem, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," first published in 1823 in the Troy Sentinel newspaper, and originally entitled "Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas." "'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children all nestled are snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below. But when what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all, as dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly. When they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head, and was turning around. Down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk and laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team, gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."